In this module, we will discuss about in your Unit 3, Plagiarism, Deterrence, with the paper Academic Integrity and Plagiarism, Open Elective, Maharishi University, Rohtak. Okay. So we have summarizing, paraphrasing, direct quotation, language and vocabulary, citation and style manual. Among all these citation and style manual we have discussed in other modules. You can find those. Then language and vocabulary, direct quotation, paraphrasing, we have devoted a separate module on that. So summarizing, making summary and abstract. Okay, we are not summarizing is that, suppose where do we need to provide a summary, though suppose you are doing your master's degree and when you do PhD in future, or you're writing a research paper, so you are supposed to provide an abstract. Summary and abstract, there are differences, people say, but for now, time being, you think of both are the same. So summarizing that, when you shorten the versions of your story, of your research paper, okay, a research paper, or your chapter sometimes while writing PhD also, sometimes they ask you provide a summary at the end of each chapter before moving to reference. Sometimes the format is like this also. Sometimes you are asked to write summary at the end of each chapter. So that summary, why do we need summary? Just to within with a quick of time, so we can go through what exactly author wants to say. So that is a summary. You think of as per your syllabus. But there are cases, but it is, suppose you haphazardly write the summary, even though we teach to the students about the abstract also. Like haphazardly you write, probably after reading summary and abstract, probably people may not be able to understand the thesis or the argument developed in your chapter or your research paper. The objectives, basic objectives behind any summary or abstract is, altogether it is a miniature form of your whole text or full text. Okay. So in that case, first of all you need is that your language. Somewhere it is written language and vocabulary. So we are putting those points here. Language, and very much you need a very good language, because to understand and to shorten the story, sometimes vocabulary also pick up those words, those words which is having large, denotations. It denotes a wide variety of things. A particular word can tell you the fractions of stories that way. So that way you can shorten the. Sometimes you are asked to provide a summary of 300 pages. 300 pages means roughly A4 size, 4 to 5 pages, and you are summarizing 200 pages thesis into 400 or sometimes 100 word also. You are asked to. So that is the skill we need to give, but in such a way, and it should really portray a representation of your whole text. I mean the entire your entire work should be represented through this summary. So while teaching to the students in the classroom, like even this formula also, the bigger journals, they also follow these types. So there are every chances of being slided from the main point. There are every chance. So we teach them some format, like, why don't you put these summary into categories, because after all, in a thesis or in a research paper, what exactly the author is saying, suppose the introduction, the genesis. Introduction means maybe 2-3 2-3 sentences. I mean, what exactly the background are, which main subject your topic falls under. This is one. Secondly is that methodology, and what kind of methodology you have used to prove this. I mean, to work on a particular research paper. And then come to research findings. What is your research findings? And you may be concluding in which way it is original, in which way it is original, maybe significance, maybe conclusion, and what are the missing link, because research is ongoing work, ongoing activity. That doesn't, suppose you are doing COVID or Corona, that doesn't mean that your work is your final. I mean, your work is the only work. Maybe in your work many things are missing, so that how your things can be improved upon should be the last one. So this is writing the summary, and obviously typing in MS Word, then you find the number of words it is whole. Suppose it increases the words, then you can delete, and accordingly you can manage. So this is technology give a very good support here. But suppose manual is very difficult to count the exact words. Again you are summarizing direct quotation. Probably this direct quotation we have mentioned in many places, many modules also. Direct quotations means whenever you are writing during your citation, during your quotation, or during your referring to other sources, maybe in support of your argument, or support of just to prove your thesis, prove your argument in your work, maybe research paper or book where. So you may think that I should take direct quotations, maybe a word, 2 words, 3 words, a particular sentence, maybe a couple of sentences, so from other sources, and keep those, insert those in your writings, and according to a particular norm. What is that norm? Norm may be uniform way you develop, it's your own way, own norms. Maybe sometimes your university prescribes that norm, or sometimes the styles are available like APA, MLA, Harvard and Chicago manuals. So you follow any style, or suppose you are submitting your work in a particular journal, probably a journal in their house style, journal is having their own style, so you follow that. So accordingly, and sometimes the general questions comes to the mind of a researcher, I mean students like you, masters and PhD students, that how much, I mean how many words we can borrow from others or learn from others. All these doesn't have a direct answer. Probably there is no specific, but suppose you are submitting in a particular journal, then a journal they have a mandate also, and you go by that as such. And I would like to tell you that you are a beginner, and citation don't the golden rule is you write of your own as large as possible. You write of your own, I say, as large as possible, and if it is needed, whenever it is needed, just to push forward your thesis, argument, stress, then and there you cite. And cite those words which convey the substance in support of your argument, not the whole sentence. Maybe sometimes, many cases I find the Indian students or wherever English is not a native language, they fail to read and get the glimpse of those substantial portion. What do? They cite the whole sentences or the whole paragraph and include in their work. So in that case it is not wrong, but this habit will bring you in a very dangerous position, because people won't study or read your paper, because this author is citing here and again, and bulk also, because that way when any restriction is not there from publisher side, from the journal side, the author sometimes is tempted to bring more and more. So that way in later on, in maybe initially you are having this habit of doing, but gradually when you gain your experience and start writing, gradually, so you'll come to know this, the direct quotations. Direct quotations you take from those sources which sources are very highly cited sources, and people read across India or across globe rather, that way, so that when people read your things they can locate and they can recognize which source you are citing. So these are a couple of things, and probably in other modules you find somewhere direct quotations kind of things. I think it is okay.